Here we're going to switch over to the Cryomancer class. So it's a powerful DPS class, a Frost Mage, a lot of movement during combat. You can see she's got her own weapon, the Ice Shard and the Cryo Frame. See how she does against this big group of mobs right now.
It's a cool way to start against AoE mobs. Use the Ice Statue. It taunts and slows the enemies around you, freezes them. Also environmental hazards in this part of the map, so you always got to be careful about that. It's kind of previewing what's going to be happening on that last boss here. Very cool finisher on the Cryomancer, locks them in that huge block of ice. Cryomancer is a DPS class, but a lot of really good utility. It's a snowball. It's really kind of a funny effect. Any enemies that it picks up in the way, it just kind of rolls with it and then blows up at the end.
It's a really popular effect in PvP. Rolling up your friends and that is a great deal of fun. You can see as a pretty powerful DPS class with a lot of utility against single target and multi-target. She's able to burn through these packs of mobs pretty quick. You get down here to these groups of Mantides. You can see the icons above their heads showing their different combat roles.
So that's a cool ability, Snowstorm. It creates this giant snowstorm that does really good damage to groups. These are much more difficult trash mobs than a lot of the ones we've run into earlier, so you see we're pretty low on health right now. We'll see if we can get through this. Cryomancer works a little bit differently with the main attacks. They're press and hold that basically upgrade what that ability is going to do. So left mouse, you've got your basic attack that we're just throwing right now. And then if you hold it, that does an AoE. And on your right mouse button, you've got Icy Thorn that is going to consume your energy and do a lot of single target damage. And again, if you hold that down, it's also going to apply a dot on the enemy. Another cool component on the Cryomancer, you can upgrade your normal dash. All classes get a dash, but the Cryomancer gets this awesome slide ability. So you go an additional distance, but you also create this area on the floor in which when enemies walk through it, they're going to take damage and they're going to move slowly.
You can see the Cryomancer using some of her utility spells to survive that fight. She was able to use the Icy Statue to get those mobs off her for quite a bit of time, lower their damage that she was taking, finish them off one by one. So once again, a similar fight. This one's got a tank in it, so we'll see how the Cryomancer handles this one.
Yeah, making sure you pick up the health orbs whenever they pop up. On regular trash enemies, you have to kill the enemy in order for those orbs to come up. On bosses, you'll see next to their health a number of health bars, and every time you get rid of one of those health bars, you're going to get a health orb. And those will go away if you don't pick them up quickly, so a lot of times that can be the difference between you winning or losing a fight.
Cryomancer used her ultimate early in this fight to freeze the entire battlefield, so she was basically able to burn down one of the enemies while the others were frozen. There's that Icy Statue again, taking some of them out of the fight. Not all of them are out of the fight yet, but it looks like she's doing pretty well this time.
And a lot of movement on Cryomancer. You can see just about all the attacks you're doing, you're still able to do it on the move. So it's going to give her a very different feel than what you get with those melee classes.
So again here, she's powerful against single targets, right? There's that finisher, just burn these down one at a time.
And those finishers are going to regenerate some of your energy, so allows you to kind of be full power when you're going against a new enemy.
All right, so we're headed into the final fight here, and it looks like we're going to take a bit of a rest, heal up, and I think, let's see, stopping again? Yeah, maybe this is taunting the boss.
I feel like he might get upset about that. Because honestly, this is getting a little raunchy at this point, and she hasn't even beaten the boss yet. I feel like we should practically add a mechanic. You know, you get 300% damage if you taunt within some range with them like this. And she's still going. All right. Okay, that was a good move. There we go.
All right, so it looks like we're back to the fight here. So this is the final boss in the Lanber Catacombs. She's going to have her own unique mechanics. You'll see come into play here, pulling a lot of the things you learned earlier on, right? Those environmental hazards. Pillars of rock falling down, big AoEs she's going to cast.
Yeah, it's the main mechanic on this fight. You know, when she drops the rocks, just make sure you're not underneath them. When those come down, those will knock you back, do a good amount of damage. And then after she does that channel attack, just make sure you're behind them when that goes off. It does a pretty good chunk of your health if you're going to take hits from it.
This fight can obviously be much different depending on the type of class you play. Playing a range class, right? Avoiding these pillars of rock. And the big AoEs, much easier when you've got a lot of standoff damage, so it's nice that you're able to kind of switch classes when you're out of combat. So maybe you wiped on this using the Paladin like I did the first 3 times, right? You can come back as a Cryomancer and tear this mob up.
And that's one of the cool things you get when you can just switch classes on the fly. You know, all the classes should be able to clear this content, but there are just going to be certain things that individual classes are going to be better at. So, you know, as you develop those different classes as you're playing through the game, you kind of look at a situation that you're having a hard time with and, you know, change out some of your abilities, your talents, or change out your class to try and have the best chance to beat a given boss.